Hello, welcome to this Ned Davis Research Vodcast, where we will help you see the signals. My name is Brian Sanborn, NDR's Global Head of Investment Solutions. In this episode, we will be speaking with NDR's Chief Economist, Alejandra Grindal, about tracking the economy when data are sparse. Alejandra, what have you been watching to get your finger on the economy's pulse?
Great question, Brian. So the good news is there's still a pretty fair share of other public and private data that we watch closely. Some of the latest, which covers not only the United States, but most of the world, is the S&P Global PMIs. And so what we found out for the month October is that global economic growth remained on a solid footing at the start of the quarter. The global composite PMI, which includes services and manufacturing, and it's a pretty good monthly proxy for global GDP, rose to 52.9, and this actually matched its highest level since May 2024, so not bad. Ultimately, this puts the indicator further away from what we identify as a recessionary threshold of 47.8, and actually even puts the indicator a little bit above its long-term average. And the good news is accelerating global economic growth, and we look at it as the 3-month change in the global PMI to sort of take out some of the month-to-month volatility. It's actually associated with pretty strong gains in global equities.
What else have you done to navigate the economic outlook while having less data?
Sure. So in addition to the private sector data I mentioned, and PMIs are just one of many things, many economists, including us, and very likely the Fed, have been keeping an extra close eye on the Beige Book. And it is extremely informative. It gives timely, on-the-ground overviews of each Fed district's economies, but it's a qualitative summary, right? Just literally writing how the various districts are doing. So in an attempt to qualify the Beige Book, we at NDR, we parse through the latest and actually historical reports using generative AI to create a historical numeral read on the Beige Book report. And from this, we created a net economic score where we assign scores to positive and negative statements about the economy. And we actually even accounted for intensity. So a strong gain received a higher rating than, say, a moderate gain in economic activity as we parse through the report.
So what has quantifying the Beige Book demonstrated?
Oh, great stuff, at least in my opinion, right? So the net sentiment score we created from the Beige Book tends to fall deeply and consistently in negative territory at the beginning of US recession. So makes sense, right? And tends to show its worst scores either slightly before or at the end of US recessions, making it, I would say, a pretty timely read on US economic cycles. So compared to the last Beige Book in September, our sentiment score has moved down to a very slight net positive reading for the month of October, indicating easing growth. And this is ultimately in line with our view that the US economy is slowing and growing below trend, but no signs of near-term recession.
Lastly, how are you tracking inflation in the US?
Sure. So also using the generative AI, we compiled an inflation score using the Beige Book. And like our economic sentiment measure, we also assigned scores to inflationary and disinflationary statements, and also accounted for the intensity I mentioned before. Our inflation score did tick down in the October Beige Book, and at subdued levels, suggesting that for the most part, inflation pressures remain contained in October. Despite the inflationary forces emanating from tariffs and immigration declines, it seems like the slower economy, company absorption of tariffs, and contained wage growth, are ultimately keeping price growth in check.
Alejandra, thank you for your insights. NDR clients can read Alejandra's research notes in her Global Economic Focus publications. The indicators Alejandra and the research team develop for our subscription service are also used in our model portfolios, which are available for direct delivery, on TAMPs, and as ETFs. For more information on NDR, we encourage you to visit ndr.com. Also, for those listening in audio-only mode, video versions, including the charts of See the Signals, are available by going to info.ndr.com/ndr-signals. Thank you for joining us as we help you to see the signals. So long.